watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the 600th episode of The Sports Source. You saw there the first open to the old Hall Salvage Sports Source from September of 2003. We used that for 2 or 3 years, and then we went to the Robot Open. We were mimicking Fox or something. I don't know what I was thinking. The music, though, that original music that we used for 11 years, in case you never picked up on it, it was really kind of a ripoff of Sammy Hagar's Mas Tequila. Now you know. It's the answer to trivia questions. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to start with some UT talk. Then we're going to take a look back over 600 episodes all the way back to 2003. I hope you will enjoy today's show. First part of it is brought to you by our friends at Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land. More than $350 million worth of property moved since 1980. What more do you need to know? We thank Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land for helping us reach our 600th show. All right. Want to welcome in the panelists to the most recognizable guys on the show, the guys who've really propped me up for the last dozen or so years. Bob Hodge, Mike Strange, Jimmy Himes, Chuck Cavaleris. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here today and starting out. You will see interviews with you that I didn't do, by the way. So when they say nice things, they're lying. If I were there, they would have said rotten things. Want to start with you guys talking a little football here. Rashawn Golden. It looked initially like, well, he'll be out for a month. Now he's gone for the season. You throw that on to Austin Sanders on the offensive line, Marcus Jackson on the offensive line. Tennessee had been looking and talking a lot about going to some dime packages this year. Well, this is your nickelback, so you've got some issues at this point. How big are the issues, Jimmy and Mike?
I think the issue with Golden is huge. He was a guy that was going to be your starting nickel. They were hoping if Justin Martin was good enough at corner, they could maybe use Cam Sutton at the nickel position, but Martin's been out more than a week. So Golden has been the starter basically since the spring, and I think it's a big blow. He's a hard hitter. He's good in coverage, and I think you take out a quality defensive back, arguably, in my opinion, their third best defensive back.
Mike, your thoughts?
Well, in the way football is today, 10 years ago, losing a nickelback wouldn't have been such a big deal. But the way it is today with the spread, everybody's spread, a nickelback is on the, he's out there pretty much all the time. Yeah.
Practical, especially. I mean, you've basically got two linebackers in this in the defense that they run for most of the time, and it's 5 DBs.
That makes it a big deal.
Yeah. Chuck, Bob, your thoughts on Rashawn Golden?
I think it is a big deal, and Mike hit on the reason why. A nickelback nowadays is a starting defensive back in just about any team you go. As a matter of fact, that's the way they refer to him, your starting nickelback. So I think it's probably bigger than people would think because he's not a starting in your starting 11, but I think that position has just grown and grown and grown in importance.
Chuck, we'll talk about this in our overtime segment, dig in a lot more deep when we do that online this afternoon. But you look at two starters now gone for the year in terms of Jackson and Golden. At what point do you start to adjust the expectations, or do you? Do you look around and say, everybody has injuries, that's just part of it?
Well, I mean, you're getting closer to where if you lose one more key player, I think you do adjust not just the expectation, but I think it affects your win-loss total. Because as you get into the season and you're playing Oklahoma and you're playing some of these teams and you get into that late September, October stretch, obviously there's going to be more injuries then. Yeah. So, and this is a guy that really helps you on special teams. I mean, I saw some kind of shades of Dale Carter. The way he played, the way he hit, much bigger and tougher than his size would indicate. So, yeah, I mean, I think it is a big play.
Okay, I want to move to a second topic here. If we could go to a shot of our YP board over here, the drawing board. Right there you see SEC teams returning 11 or fewer starters between 2009 and 2014. That's last year. For those of you that don't know what year it is. You have there listed the teams that returned 11 or fewer. You see what they did in year one. Then in year two, when they returned so few people, everybody lost more games, a lot more games, except for one school, Tennessee. Butch Jones and his staff got 2 more wins out of a team that had 11 fewer starters. Now, you could say that's talent influx, but I think you have to tip your hat a little bit to some coaching acumen there, since they were the only one to do that. But my question is this. We know that expectations have been pretty high this offseason. As they do everywhere else, they go crazy in August. Do you think most of the hype is tied to new talent coming in, or do you think it's tied to Butch Jones and his staff?
I'm going to say that probably 80% of it is tied to the new talent that's coming in. I don't necessarily think that's fair, because I think you've got a good coaching staff. You look back at what they've done over the first couple of years, you don't see the kind of mistakes that you were seeing in the previous staff. But I do think that most of the excitement is over the players, the recruiting class, because that's all you hear about is we got this guy, we've got that guy. So I think 80% of it is players.
I agree with Bob, and you didn't bring in a 350-pound assistant coach with 37-inch thighs.
Right.
So
I thought they were only 36.
They've had a couple of them.
So yeah, you're hearing people talk about the new players, the Khalil McKenzie's, the Shy Tuttles, the Kyle Phillips, the Preston Williams if he can get eligible. So you're hearing more talk about players as opposed to staff.
And part of it, I think, is the increased interest in the past 10 years in recruiting. Yeah. You've had more and more people following recruiting, keeping up with this as a 3-star guy, 4-star guy. And then you start getting some of these players. I think that adds to the excitement.
But what's going to happen is if Tennessee doesn't meet expectations, 80% of the blame is going to be put on the coaches. It can't be these players. Oh, these players are great. Before anybody's ever seen them do anything, then it's going to come back on the coaches. But I like this coaching staff. I think it's good, but I think most of the hype is the players.
Mike, do you agree or disagree?
I agree with them, although 80%, I wouldn't go a bit over 78.
Okay.
But I think the fact that it was Jones's first year to his second year, you know, this was a new coaching staff coming in that first year you got up there. So I think especially defensively, getting that system that second year, the coaches do deserve some credit.
I think so too. I think the excitement is based on the players, but I think when you look at numbers like that, there are a lot of people saying, well, Jerry's out on Jones. Yes and no. To an extent, I think he's made some progress that he's not getting credit for. All right, when we come back, Mike Stoll, former Vol captain, joins us. He's going to talk about his old position, the offensive line. Come on back on the Sports Source.
So with less air in it, it's really easier to throw?
That's what they say.
Easier to catch? Doesn't seem like, and this is below level, I would assume.
Slightly.
Oh, okay, thanks. Hey, I'm Mike Keith from the Tennessee Titans, and I want to wish John Pennington and the Sports Source congratulations on a great run of 600 shows. John, really proud of you and what you've been able to accomplish. It was one of the thrills of my career having a chance to work with you 20 years ago on TNI. You did a lot for me as a friend and taught me a lot about sports and a lot about television, and I really appreciate it. So congratulations, John Pennington and the Sports Source, on 600 shows. That's really a thing. Throw that back here.
Easier to catch.
It is easier to catch. That's true.